Hello and welcome to our second part of our nightmare run with Rex. This time it's going to be scenario number 5, which is a Phantom of Truth. So, I'm a bit exhausted, but I wanted to stream, so let's see how this goes. First of all, we did some deck upgrades, and we did an interlude here. So from this interlude, A Long Dream, we got another mental trauma because we burned down the house. And let's see. So we've got our interlude, mental trauma, we got a new weakness, and I believe that was it. So we heeded the warning, we need to be careful not to say some things. These things are gone. And as for our deck, we have a new Cryptic Research, a new Lost Soul, and I hope this is not a mistake. I'm cutting one thing on your feet. So I was thinking to cut a Forewarned, but let's see. Once we're set up, we're fine. The only problem really is that early game, so let's just hope Decoy and Think on Your Feet is enough to survive. So, apart from that, I think we're fine. We start at Carcosa and Mulligan. So immediately I think the manuscripts and knowledge is power is enough to deal with enemies as well. I don't think we need segments, astounding, or that. I think I want to keep those. And we have Rook, so our starting hand is good. And Think on Your Feet, so we have no problems here. That was 4 Shroud, okay. And move to any rail location. So we had a conviction version of the scenario, so we need to survive 3 nights. Okay, first of all, Mr. Rook, that's an easy choice. And of course, use Mr. Rook. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we can take either the Man or Dark Pact. I believe I want to take a Dark Pact for now. And more cards. Calling in favors for later. What would I do right now? Take an Occult Lexicon and play that. I'd still have one action I have nothing to do with, so I believe Laboratory Assistant. Or just take the boring route, which I believe I want to do. I'm going to take Cryptic Research for now. And I'm going to play that and draw 3 cards. So I'm going to play our Cryptic Writings and get 3 resources. That's nice. I'm going to play something. But Force Route is kind of nice to keep for Crack the Case. Let's see. Or do I want to just get Narcotic down and do nothing else? I think I want to do something. So I don't need this clue right now. I don't need to move or anything, so I'm going to draw one card. Ah, what a shame. We drew what we don't want to draw, and I'm going to play Narcotic Manuscripts as a last action. Upkeep, draw a card, gain a resource, do number 1, and encounter cards. Spires of Carcosa. Okay, that's not the best thing here. But we should be able to manage. So, 2 doom on this location. So far, so good. At the end of the round, we would advance right now, so I think I want to get rid of 1 doom. But first of all, Mr. Rook. 1, 2, 3, 4, so Astounding Revelation for something. No weaknesses to speak of. A nice Crack the Case. So I'm going to take that. I like resources. Crack the Case it is. Now the question is what to do with the Astounding Revelation. Even more resources? I want some resources. How many do I want? I want to commit 1 card. Could either be Acknowledge as Power or Calling in Favors. Or I'm just going to play an art student. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to... what I'm debating is, do I want to play an art student and get that clue that way, or do I want to commit 2 cards to investigate the spires to use my ability? And do I want to get secrets, or do I want to get resources? So several questions. I think I like resources for now. Then I'm going to use Knowledge as Power. Okay, the only question is, do I want to use Knowledge as Power for that? I believe my first action is going to be draw a card. Okay, Working a Hunch. That is something I'm fine drawing. Then my second action is going to be, first of all, Knowledge is Power, so I don't draw any tokens. I'm going to investigate the spires away, committing Working Hunch and Astounding Revelation. Do I want to commit Astounding Revelation? Yes, I do. So I'm up by 3. I'm going to use my ability to discover this clue, and 1 of this doom is gone. So that was that. I'm going to crack this case. So 7 resources. So far, so good. Question is, what is going to be my last action? And I think I'm going to draw another card. Okay, lexicon, that's nice. Card, resource, doom, encounter cards. Haunted by Byakuya. Okay, so if I fail, I would possibly get an enemy, which wouldn't be too bad, but they do hunt, so I think I'm going to forewarn that, as I have it right now in my hand, so I might as well use it. So, Mr. Rook again. Astounding Revelation, Lost Soul. And Lone Wolf. Want to have a Lone Wolf or working a hunch? I actually think working a hunch for now. In that case, working a hunch it is. So, Astounding Revelation is going to give us secret on the manuscripts. Working a hunch goes to my hand, and I'm going to take a Lost Soul test. I have more conviction than doubt, so I'm unfortunately testing the wrong way, which I believe I'm just going to fail and take 2 damage. So still no action taken. I'm going to use my first action and this manuscripts. Actually, no. I think I want to replace Rook first. So my first action is going to be play calling in favors, get Rook back to my hand, and search the top 9 cards. I don't think that's shuffled. No. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Either Laboratory Assistant or another Mr. Rook, and it's going to be another Mr. Rook. Immediately using him again for 9, obviously. Rex's Curse. And another Crack the Case, I think Pathfinder. Even though Lone Wolf is pretty nice as well, I think Pathfinder... Lone Wolf it is. Lone Wolf's good. Okay. My second action is going to be play my Lone Wolf. And my last action is going to be use Knowledge as Power on the manuscripts. Commit a working a hunch to this investigation test for the Spires of Carcosa. And I'm up by 2, so I'm doing both at the same time. No Crack the Case, but I think that's fine. Upkeep. Draw a card, gain a resource. So the man is back. I think that's... Yep. And Doom number 3. Encounter cards. Okay, so he's just attacking us. Mr. Rook. First of all, Lone Wolf, then Mr. Rook. What do we want to do? We want to play Pathfinder. Taking move actions is a waste. First action, 1, 2, 3 resources for a Pathfinder. Then I'm going to use that to move... Which way do I want to move? Probably up. Oh, yes. Actually, not the most interesting thing, because that is something I really want to crack the case. So either draw a card or move again. Now it's... Do I want to actually move? I would need... I have nothing else, so no. Getting that crack the case is unlikely. I'm going to take a move action here. And I'm going to pay 1/2 for an art student to discover this clue. So now it's the end of the round and we advance this thing. I didn't spend clues to advance, so I'm going to take 2 horror and the set-aside organist enemy spawns at my location. So far so good. Where is he? So he's going to spawn at my location. I'm going to play Think on Your Feet. And I'm going to move away. Likely is it to... Yeah, why not? I'm going to move away over here. So upkeep phase, draw a card, gain a resource. Oh, and I got that 2 horror, which is going to be taken by the art student. And doom number 4. Swift Byaki. So this is something we don't like. Let's see what way we want to use that. Okay, so Lone Wolf happens, Mr. Rook happens. Okay, so I could take Decoy, but in that case I wouldn't be able to crack the case right now. But I'm too greedy, I want to crack the case. Unfortunately, I don't think we can afford to. I believe Decoy, draw a card, or take... Favors would net us a laboratory assistant. Wouldn't necessarily help. He deals 3 horror. But I believe we have the option to... yeah, to automatically evade him, so he's not a problem. Okay. Greedy way forward it is, right? Yeah, obviously greed is best. I'm going to take calling in favors. First action, I'm going to use narcotic manuscripts. Take an attack of opportunity. And do this test testlessly, or without revealing tokens. He's evaded. Last action is going to be... didn't think that through. Anyways, I did it, so... Let's see, Carcosa shouldn't be too problematic anyways, so... I'm going to draw 2 cards. I have cracked the case, but I don't have an option to actually do that. I'm going to Pathfinder. First of all, I'm going to play 1 segment. Then I'm going to Pathfinder. Up to this location. Take 2 horror or shuffle all non-weakness cards from your hand to your deck and draw. That seems fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Draw 6 new. Yeah, we have our segments now. And an art student for next turn. Our other art student is here. So I'm going to play the remaining 2 segments. Play a pendant. Use the pendant to evade the organist. And that's my turn. Upkeep. Draw a card, gain a resource. Doom number 5. Encounters. If you fail, take 2 horror and search your deck for a madness weakness. Okay. I don't believe that's something we want to care about, so I'm just going to fail that. Take 2 horror, search our deck for a madness weakness. I don't have any weaknesses left. That's gone. Lone Wolf happens. And let's see what we want to do. So we have 2 hunters. At least I'm probably going to deal with him somewhere along the line. Could do it this turn. I don't really have the resources yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Pathfinder to move to this enemy. I'm going to actually I could do it, but I don't want to. So let's see. Use Pathfinder, play Decoy. Crack that case, move again. That would be an option. But I don't want the organist anyways. Yeah, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to use Pathfinder. I'm going to spend 1 charge to evade the Swift Byakuya. My first action is going to be play art student, discover this clue, play crack the case to get 6 resources out of that. Second action is going to be play Mr. Rook. Draw a card. It's going to be forewarned. And my last action is going to be move here. So enemy phase happens, he hunts, and then he moves again, but he won't attack us. Upkeep, he readies, everything else readies. Draw a card, gain a resource. Doom number 6. Okay, so I may disengage from him, and he's going to move 1 away from each investigator. I'm going to disengage, move him to this Swift Byakuya, and move myself over to the garden. Okay. That was that, and an encounter card. Frozen in Fear. Yeah, that's nothing. I want to even forewarn that or not. Are there any worse encounter cards? Some are like moderately worse, yeah. I'm not... actually, I'm going to play forewarned on that. Why not? So far, so good. Gain a resource from Lone Wolf. Then... I need to draw cards, right? I don't have anything else to do. So I'm going to use the last pendant charge to discover 1 clue. I'm going to use Mr. Rook to... oh, first of all, the shards are back in here. I'm going to use Mr. Rook to take Laboratory, to take a Search for the Truth. Okay, where's my assistant now? Search for the Truth. My first action is going to be draw 3 cards. Okay. My second action is going to be play Laboratory Assistant and draw 2 cards. And my horror goes on Mr. Rook. And my last action is going to be take a resource and play the segments again. A new pendant. A new clue. And a pathfinder out of here to this location. Okay. So I'm going to take the frozen in fear test. I'm going to fail it. Enemy phase. Those two enemies move. 1, 2. Upkeep, draw card, gain a resource. Doom and count cards. Another Swift Byaku, so now we need to start probably need to start killing things. Low move resource, and let's see what we can do. We can do Mr. Rook. We have an astounding revelation for 2 resources. And a cryptic research. Let's see what our deck tells us to do. Okay, so let's look at our options. We lack some resources, but that should be fine. Want to kill some of those. But again, that should be fine. I'm going to play decoy for 4 resources to evade this enemy and this enemy. First and second action. Then I'm going to knowledge is power and use my last action. Actually, I probably want to get rid of Frozen in Fear. Yeah, I'm going to use the pendant to evade this guy. I'm going to hold my knowledge is power for a moment. I'm going to use my last action for the manuscripts. And I'm going to Pathfinder myself here. Okay, so far so good. I'm going to take the test. I passed that. And upkeep. Doom. And counter cards. Spend 1 clue or take 2 damage. I want to take 2 damage. Actually, both damage on Mr. Rook. So let's take a look at our options. Lone Wolf helps. And we want to get rid of some Byakis. So Lexicon would help. But first and foremost, I need resources. First action, take a resource. Second action, play Mr. Rook. Use Mr. Rook. Astounding Revelation for 2 resources. And Cryptic Writings for another 3. That's a bit helpful. Now I'm going to play Occult Lexicon. Get 1 blood right here. and 2 blood rights there. So I have a pendant as well. Do I want to use the pendant in any way? Might as well, right? So I'm going to use the pendant to hate someone. If I stay there, I'm going to take attacks, but I don't really care. So first of all, I'm going to use Pathfinder here. Okay, I can't leave, which is fine. Then I'm going to use the pendant. I don't even think I want to... actually, I'm not going to use the pendant at all. Because that last charge might come in helpful next turn. So that's my turn. Those are all going to hunt. Keep. Draw a card. Gain a resource. I have my hand size checked, but I have Laboratory Assistant. Do number 3 and encounter cards. So I might discard an enemy. What's worse? Take some damage and horror? Yeah, I'm going to take the test. That doesn't work. So I'm going to discard cards until an enemy is discarded. Which is this enemy. And I'm not going to spawn him. I'm going to take... one damage and another damage and horror. Then my turn is going to start. Lone move. First action, play a blood right. Draw 2 cards. Discard working a hunch and working a hunch. Pay 2 resources. Deal this guy 2 damage. Use Mr. Rook. Use that astounding revelation for a nice helpful 2 resources. Take that lost soul. That might be the reason I don't want to take resources, but yeah, why not? I like the protection. I'm going to take a secret here. And I'm going to take another blood right. Crack the case. For 1, that seems pretty wasteful. But we might get something better. So, crack the case it is. Then I'm going to take this test and I'm going to spend 1 secret and I'm going to commit a forewarned to this test. So I just passed that. Probably should have taken 2 damage, but we'll see later on how much of a waste that was. Then I'm going to play another blood right, draw 2 cards, pay 2 resources and discard 1 calling in favors and 1 laboratory assistant to my second action to defeat this thing and deal 1 damage here. And for now, my last action is going to be Knowledge is Power, evade this thing. That is evaded. Use the Pendant of the Queen to evade the Organist. Use the Pathfinder to move here. Okay. And that's the end of my turn. Draw a card, gain a resource. Doom number 4. Encounter cards. Remove 1 Doom from the current agenda or take 1 horror for each point you failed by. Yeah, that's fine. I'm going to remove 1 Doom. Okay, so far so good. Let's see what we want to do. I believe unfortunately I can't play Art Student during calling in favors, which is a shame. I could withstand those two. Could also defeat the man for once, which would be 3. I'm at 4. I would need to commit 1 card to that. I'm debating if I want to investigate this or actually investigate the man. First of all, Lone Wolf resource. Second of all, I believe, yeah, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to play Calling in Favors, take Mr. Rook back to my hand, and play an Art Student. So this clue is mine. Then I'm going to cards or not. I probably want to. So I'm going to, let's see, that would be my second action to draw cards, and my third action would be to investigate, move out of there. Yeah, why not? I'm going to use the Search for the Truth to draw 5, because I have 5 clues. And my last action is going to be investigate the man in the pallid mask. Using Knowledge is Power, committing a what's more important? Get 1 resource? No. I'm going to move out of here during the investigation. Oh, actually, I wouldn't get that then. But that's actually fine. And I'm going to commit I'm going to commit Art Student. Now I'm at 5 against 3. I investigate by 2 or more, so I'm going to discover 1 clue at my location, which is this location now. Crack the case for 4. Use 3 of those for segments. And another pendant. Then use the pendant to teleport somewhere. And I believe I want to teleport down here. Enemy phase. Those two move. They reach me, but that's not enough. Upkeep. Refresh everything. Card and resource. Then do number 4. And Deadly Fate. Okay, so that would be just another damage. I'm going to play Forewarned. So I think 1-2 victory points left, but nothing else. Okay, Lone Wolf. Now the question becomes, I unfortunately can't shuffle that Crack the Case back in there. The timing doesn't work out. So I believe I just killed that enemy. Yeah. Play Blood Right. Draw 2 cards. Discard Decoy and... I want to discard Crack the Case. There are 3s. I like 3s. Discard Think on Your Feet. Actually discard Blood Right. Discard Think on Your Feet. Pay 2. And kill this Byakhee. So far, so good. I'm going to use my... I'm going to pendant this guy. I'm going to take a resource, play Mr. Rook. Use Mr. Rook. That's going to be an Astounding Revelation. For 2 resources. That's going to be a Cryptic Research and a Lost Soul. So I'm going to take the test. And I'm just going to take 2 damage, 1 here and 1 here. Play Cryptic Research, draw 3. Okay, that's a man. He's going to spawn here again. So I might just draw even more cards, which isn't something to complain about. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to draw 5. Okay. But that was my last action. So I'm going to discard Mr. Rook for a resource because I'm at this location. I'm going to use Pathfinder to move out of this location right here. And I believe that's my turn. Card, resource. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm going to discard an Astounding Revelation. Do number 5. So I'm allowed to move again. And he's going to not move, I believe. I would be stuck here. Is that something I'm... Actually, I'm not going to move. I'm going to stay here. Encounter cards. Another enemy. That's fine. Yeah, during that test I'm going to miss the rook. Astounding Revelation. For something. Cryptic Writings. Actually, Cryptic Writings or Crack the Case? Crack the Case. So I have some resources left. I might as well use that for a charge, a secret, which I'm just going to spend right away. And then, do I have an art student left here? I do. So I'm going to take Lone Wolf resources. I'm going to use my first action to play a Calling in Favors. Take Mr. Rook back to my hand. Play an art student. Discover this clue. Play 1, 2 times Crack the Case to be at 9 resources. And replay Mr. Rook. Use Pendant to teleport. No, first of all use Mr. Rook. For Cryptic Writings. 3 resources. Then use my pendant and shuffle those back in. And what I want to use it for is to teleport to this location. Oh, I forgot to actually chase the stranger. So that's my second action. Knowledge is power. And my last action is just going to be investigate. Committing working a hunch. Investigating against the man in the pallid mask. He is defeated again. I'm going to take another chasing the stranger point, and I succeeded by 2 or more, so another clue. I can't leave with Pathfinder because of the location effect, so that's all. 1, 2, he hunts, but doesn't reach us. Upkeep, draw a card, gain a resource, and Doom. Actually, I could just... No, I don't want to. Doom. Because of VP enemies. I could speed it up, but I like victory points, so... Twin Suns. Yeah, I'm just going to fail that. That's fine. Remove a Doom again. Lone Wolf. Mr. Rook. Mr. Rook for... segment. First action, play Calling in Favors on Mr. Rook. To play a Laboratory Assistant. To draw 2 cards. 1, 2, and 3 segments again. A pendant, and I'm going to use that to do something. Which I believe is going to be teleport, evade. Don't even know for sure. Yeah, just evade the organist. Actually, I totally can start spending clues, but no. What is that? Spend. Yeah, evade the organist. Use Pathfinder to move. My first action was calling in favors. My second action is going to be Bloodrite. No, actually, my second action is going to be play Mr. Rook, discarding a laboratory assistant, and use Mr. Rook right away for that nice knowledge is power. And my last action is Bloodrite, draw 2, discard Forewarned and Laboratory Assistant to gain 2 resources. That's all. Upkeep, draw a card, gain a resource. Readies, Doom, and counter cards. Frozen in Fear. So I believe that's something I'm just going to keep. Lone Wolf. And let's see how we deal with things. First of all, pendant this thing again. Second of all, play Knowledge's Power on the Narcotic Manuscripts. My first action is going to be draw 1 card. Then I'm going to use Mr. Rook for an astounding revelation for like 2 resources or something. Actually, for a secret there. I'm going to take search for the truth. My second action is going to be draw 5 cards. Cryptic Writings. Let's see. After you draw it, play it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So just 3 resources. And as for my last action, what is actually my last action? I'm going to Pathfinder here. That's for sure. Play an art student. Discover clue. Play another Bloodrite. Pretty sure Dark Pact is too early right now. I'm going to play Bloodrite. Draw 2. I'm going to draw Lost Soul. So I'm going to commit Mr. Rook and pass the test because I played Knowledge's Power on this before. Then I'm going to discard Art Student and Working a Hunch for 2 resources. And I'm going to play another Knowledge's Power on the manuscripts, so I'm going to pass this test. Upkeep, draw a card, gain a resource, Doom, and counter cards. Oh yeah. So, victory points finally turned up. And we like victory points. So, Mr. Rook, which is a man in the pellet mask, which is... Come on. It doesn't matter. Which is... either another Rook charge... Yeah, which is another secret on Mr. Rook. And it's going to be... Cryptic Research. Where does he spawn? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So those two locations are possible. He's going to spawn here. Okay, Cryptic Research. Draw some cards. First action, Bloodrite. Draw 2 cards. Discard Working a Hunch and crack the forewarned, crack the case. Decoy probably. Discard Decoy, pay 2 and deal this thing 2 damage. So far so good. Now I'm going to play something. Play Calling in Favors. Actually, do I have something left here? Yeah, perfect. I'm going to take an attack of opportunity. Just going to kill the art student. And I'm going to play Calling in Favors. Take Mr. Rook to my hand. And play a laboratory assistant. Draw 2 cards. Where there's the Bloodrite. Draw 2 cards. Discard Astounding Revelation and crack the case. Pay 1, 2 and get this victory point here. Okay, so 1 VP left. That was my last action. I'm going to use my Pathfinder to move here. Actually, yeah, I'm fine with being there. I'm going to use this to evade the Organist. And it's not a single player card, so it still works into this empty deck because that thing is overpowered as hell. So everything readies. Upkeep, draw a card, gain a resource. And I'm right at my hand limit. Doom. And encounter cards. Let's look for another enemy here. Hunting Shadows. I'm going to actually spend 1 clue. Lone Wolf helps. Then 1, 2, 3. First action, Mr. Rook. One, 2. Second action, Actually, first I need to draw a card with Mr. Rook. I don't care because those are the same cards. Second action is going to be Laboratory Assistant. Draw a card, draw a second card, and take a horror. Yeah, that's just resources. Actually, 4 resources this time. And 3 resources are going to be used to play another pendant. So I need this. I'm able to evade the Organist, so everything I want to do now is just be fully prepared for the last turn. That means I'm going to play Calling in Favors as my last action and take this Mr. Okay, not delete the Mr. Rook, but take the Mr. Rook back to my hand and use an Astounding Revelation for 2 resources and play a new Refresh Mr. Rook. Use this Mr. Rook immediately to draw my weakness again. And to draw a Bloodrite. So this weakness, I'm going to use one narcotic charge for that and commit Forewarned. I'm not going to take damage. I'm going to use the pendant to discover this clue. Play like one Crack the Case on that for 3, just in case. And Pathfinder down to this location. He hunts. Upkeep everything, draw a card, gain a resource. Doom, encounter cards. Ah, what a shame. So we are not getting a last victory point here. So I should have actually took the other option before, but we'll see. I don't care about this card. Like, at all. I'm going to fail that. And discard 2 random cards. Come on, come on, come on! No. I was hoping to discard Dark Pact. Yeah, take a resource. Evade this enemy. Make sure I have every victory point I can. I have. Don't care about Mr. Rook. Just play Dark Pact, take a damage and a horror. Take 2 damage. Do something with my last actions, like Pathfinder over here. Upkeep, draw a card, gain a resource. Doom, and it's done. Act 2B. Resolution 1. So, change tokens, I don't care about that. And I found his home. So far so good. Victory points are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, I should have gone for this thing, right? In my last... Yeah, actually, let me search for a Knowledge is Power. I wouldn't have got that, but I could have just done that. Let's see, could I have just done that without a problem? I could evade him, move as my first, yeah, that's no problem. I'm going to evade him with a pendant, move as my first action, use that on my second action, and my last action is going to be investigate him away, just to have one more chasing the stranger. And I'm done. 5 victory points. So, I hope that everything worked this time, because I have had some issues with my last stream, and have a nice day.